The largest successful heists in history. Lock in, chat. Let's go.
Let's start with the heists that were almost perfect and slowly work our way towards the ones that made some thieves multi-millionaires. Number 7. The Great Brinks Robbery. On January 7th,
Number 7. Burger King foot lettuce. Actually, that was number 15. My bad.
17th, 1950, in Boston, Massachusetts, 11 men
Boston,
entered
mate!
the Brinks Armored Car Depot, all wearing chauffeur caps, pea coats, rubber Halloween masks, and each carrying a 38 caliber revolver.
Grown
The 5
man,
workers
by
on
the
shift
way.
that day were quickly tied up and their mouths were taped shut. The thieves were in and out within 20 minutes, stealing over $2.7 million in cash and valuables, a value that would be worth around $36 million today. No one was injured, and not a single piece of useful evidence was left behind. Even the escape vehicle that was used for the robbery was later found cut to pieces at the local dump. All in all, it was the perfect heist. It would
Hold
even
on,
be
they
labeled
really
by the
did
media as the crime of the century. The case would have gone cold if it weren't for the greed of 2 of the thieves. You see, later that year, 2 of the thieves were captured in another bank robbery, Joseph O'Keefe and Stanley Guscara. Both men were looking at many years behind.
Gosh dang it, Joseph. Gosh dang it, Stanley, dude. You couldn't just have your 2.7 million and be happy with that. You had to keep doing it, dude. I feel like, bro, if you have a successful heist of this matter, probably should, like, not do it again because you're probably gonna get cooked for it, which is exactly what happened right here, bruh.
Behind bars. So they began to beg their previous partners for money to help pay for their lawyer fees. But they were rejected.
Guys, I shouldn't even say it, but guys, does this guy look like me? Quadruple chin, and he has a single hair, and he has an egg-shaped head. And what's happening over here with little Jim Bob? Guy on the right for sure. That is not me, bro. That's old Kramer right there. I just spat on my monitor.
And were sentenced to jail. After serving his time, O'Keefe was released, only to be arrested once again. And just like before, he requested money from his previous partners, this time claiming that he didn't get his fair share in the Brinks robbery. But again, he was rejected. So O'Keefe threatened to testify against his previous partners unless he got some money. Soon after his threats, O'Keefe was shot multiple times by a hired hitman, but barely survived. While recovering in the hospital, FBI...
I'm sorry. What is this drawing, bro? I'm sorry. He was shot multiple times and he survived. Do you know how bad of a hitman you have to be to shoot a guy multiple times in game and for him to still be alive? You're literally terrible at your job, bro.
...approached him, making a deal to testify against the men that tried to kill him. O'Keefe testified in court, explaining in great detail on how they managed to pull off the Brinks robbery, and all of his previous partners were sentenced to life in prison. Now, the crazy part is that if this trial had taken place just 5 days later, it would have reached the statute of limitations, and all the men would have gotten away with the perfect heist. Number 6, the Lufthansa heist. One of the largest heists and perhaps the bloodiest in history was the Lufthansa heist. In the middle of the night on December 11th, 1978, 6 men broke into the Lufthansa's air.
These are the greatest drawings I've ever seen in my entire life. What in the fish-looking is this dude right here? And I gotta be honest, this guy just looks like a sperm cell in-game.
Airline cargo terminal at New York's John F.
Terminal,
Kennedy
the
Airport.
Call of Duty map?
The men quickly made their way to the airline's vault,
He's
stealing
eating the money!
$5.8 million in cash and $800,000 worth of jewels.
$6
a value
million?
that would be worth around $32 million today.
Bro.
No bullets were fired, nobody was injured, and the heist only took an hour to complete. On that night, those 6 men managed to pull off the largest heist in American history. None of the men involved would ever be caught for this robbery. But just because the men were never caught doesn't mean that they lived long enough to enjoy the money. You see, authorities began to connect the 6 men to the Lucchese crime family, one of the 5 notorious Italian-American mafia crime families that ruled New York during this time period. But as authorities began to pinpoint exactly who was involved in the robbery...
Elmo was in a heist... Dr. Eggman.
One by one, the men in question began to show up dead. Over a dozen bodies and numerous disappearances made convicting anyone impossible. Many men were found shot to death. A man was found hogtied and frozen to death inside of a meat refrigeration truck. Then a few days later, a woman's torso washed ashore in New Jersey. and so on and so on.
Wait, so you're saying this is like Final Destination type stuff? Like all the people that were in this heist never got caught by the police, but they died in very peculiar ways? This is like Final Destination stuff where like you died of the dumbest thing ever.
In the end, none of the money was ever recovered, and with so many people murdered, no one really knows who ended up with the money. But whoever did would be set for life. Number 5,
Thanos took it.
D.B. Cooper. On November 24th, 1971, a man named D.B. Cooper purchased an airline ticket that would take him from Portland, Oregon to Seattle, Washington. He was one of 36 passengers on that flight. As soon as the plane took off, Cooper ordered a bourbon and soda, and after consuming his drink, he handed the flight attendant a handwritten letter, instructing her to sit next to him. When she did, he opened up his suitcase and showed her a bomb. He instructed her to tell the captain that he would need
cut the red wire
and $200,000 once the plane landed in Seattle, which she quickly did. When the flight finally landed, the FBI made sure to give Cooper exactly what he had asked for, but in exchange for all of the passengers on board, which he agreed to. Cooper would only keep 4 crew members on board as hostages, locking them all inside the cockpit. He instructed the captain that their next destination was Mexico City, to which he complied. But here's where things get even more interesting. Cooper instructed the captain to fly at an elevation of 10,000 feet.
Is that Godzilla? Also, I feel like that can't be his real name. I mean, even if he gets rid of this, as soon as he's off the plane, he's going to be most wanted man ever, and he's probably just going to die. At maximum, he's got about 90 days to live. He's going to die somehow. You know, they're going to get him.
And just 20 minutes into the flight, the captain was alerted that the back of the plane's stairs had been lowered. Suspecting that Cooper might have jumped, he landed the plane in Nevada. On arrival, the FBI quickly searched the plane. But of course, Cooper was not inside. He had jumped from the plane into the forest in the middle of the night with $200,000, somewhere between Seattle and Reno. Over 200 U.S. military officials, including the Army and Air Force, conducted one of the largest land sweeps ever done. But nothing was found. That night of the flight would be the last time anyone ever saw the man with the name of D.B. Cooper.
That wasn't his name, I swear. 100% it wasn't his name. But to this day, they don't know what happened. This actually worked. I don't even think he got locked up, bro. I don't think he got locked up.
Number 4, the Great Train Robbery. On August 8th, 1963, a gang of 15 robbers.
That thing looks like you. Oh, we're not talking about this, right? That thing looks like you. I know we're not talking about this, right, DK? I know we're not talking about this, right? I don't even look like that. I look way more handsomer. You know what I mean? I look way more handsomer.
No one ever saw the man with the name of D.B. Cooper. Number 4, the Great Train Robbery. On August 8th, 1963, a gang of 15 robbers intercepted a Royal Mail train in Buckinghamshire, England. The robbers had stuffed a glove over the green railroad
what happened to these guys'
the red
faces?
light using a portable battery, causing the driver of the train to come to a complete stop.
Is that Muscle Man? You know who else likes donuts? My mom. I can't even do it, but I can. Guess what? My mom.
As the driver went to investigate why the train was signaled to stop, he was quickly attacked and hit over the head with the metal pipe, then handcuffed and thrown to the side of the tracks. The robbers would escape with 2.6 million pounds, a value that would be around 46 million pounds today, or approximately $60 million. After the robbery, all 15 men and 2 key informants met at a farmhouse. There, they evenly split the money and fled. The farmhouse was then set ablaze by 6 men who were paid to destroy all of the evidence. But unfortunately for the thieves, the 6 men did such a terrible job that the police were able to acquire all of the burglars' fingerprints, which they found on a Monopoly board. Thanks to the board game.
Are we being dead-us right now? You're telling me that you burned down the house and everything, and you played Monopoly while you were in there and didn't think about your fingerprints being on a Monopoly board? Oh, we got some D1 idiots up in here, bro. I gotta be honest. Ain't no way.
15 of the 17 members would get arrested, convicted, and sent to prison. Only one of the members was acquitted, as there just wasn't enough evidence to convict him. Meanwhile, the other member, who was believed to have had inside information on the train and the valuables it was carrying, was never caught or identified. And to this day, this man remains a complete mystery. He is only known by his alias, the Ulsterman. Nothing else is known about him. Number 3, the British Bank of the Middle East heist. Now, there is no other heist surrounded in more mystery than the British Bank of the Middle East heist. On January 20th, 1976, an unknown amount of thieves broke into the British Bank of the Middle East in Beirut during a civil war. The heist began when the thieves broke into the neighboring cafe.
Okay, there's genuinely no shot. There's genuinely no shot. What is this, bro? What is this? You look like that guy outside the jail cell fatty. I don't look like any of these people. I don't know why you would ever compare me to any of these people. Guys, none of these drawings look like me. You know what I mean? We good.
Catholic church, as he shared a wall with the bank. They then set off explosives on the connecting wall, gaining access to the bank. Once inside, the group's locksmith quickly got to work on the vault's locks. And within a few hours, the thieves acquired anywhere from $20 to $50 million worth of gold bars, cash,
what's that worth
and
nowadays?
jewels. An estimated value of around $110 to $280 million today. With no leads or suspects to go off of, an investigation never really began. This was a flawless heist done at the perfect time. Of course, without knowing how many thieves there were, I can't calculate how much money they each would have gotten, but it's safe to assume that each member made it out a multi-millionaire. Number 2, the Antwerp Diamond Heist.
Bruh.
On February 15, 2003, one of the most elaborate...
Brother, if I got $280 million, do you know how much Taco Bell I could buy with that? Probably enough to make myself go numb. But sometimes all I can ever feel is those nacho cheese fries going down my throat. You know, it almost like elevates me to a new level of aura.
Heist in history took place. It would even be known as the heist of the century. The Antwerp Diamond Heist was planned by a mastermind named Leonardo Notarbartolo.
Dang, I'm glad I got my last name. What the frick is Notarbartolo? Actually, that's kind of fire. Notarbartolo!
For anyone who worked at
Holy
the Antwerp
frick.
Diamond Center in Belgium, Leonardo was just another diamond merchant
Taco
who worked in
Bell,
the building,
Aura.
as he had worked there
Aura,
for
what's
over
good?
3 years. You see, this was all part of the plan.
That's Harold. Aura last name. Cinema last name. Aura Cinema. Let's
Merchants
go.
received full access to the building, including the vault, where all the lockboxes were located. And shortly after he was hired, Leonardo...
Why is there a restroom specifically made for this guy? You look like the guy in the suit. Dang it, bro. Am I really gonna get past the Humpty Dumpty allegations at this point?
Leonardo began to carry a small pen in his shirt pocket, which he had installed with a small camera. With the footage he acquired, Leonardo and his team created a replica of the vault where they...
Who is this guy? Yo, what? He's got a massive brain. Guys, that's me, right? He must have a massive brain. I mean, that's insane right there.
practiced breaking into it for months. The crew consisted of 5 men: Leonardo, Speedy, Monster,
Harold.
the Genius, and the King of Keys, each equipped with a special set of skills to aid in the heist. And on February 15, 2003, it was all or nothing. In the dead of night, the gang would make their way to the vault,
All or
quickly
nothing.
dialing in the combination, which they easily acquired thanks to a small hidden camera they had installed in the room a few days prior. They then turned the lights off, opened the vault door, and quickly sprayed the heat sensor with hairspray and covered it with styrofoam. Then they covered the light sensors with black bags to avoid triggering the alarms. The second gate was quickly lockpicked by the King of Keys.
That's the thing about this, though. This is so detailed that, like, people figured out about this, bro. I bet that it went crashing down. There's no shot, right?
And once that was opened, Monster carefully got to work on the alarm wires, disabling them. And in the complete
alarm.
darkness, the gang broke open all the lock boxes with a
In the
custom-made
dark?
gadget the King of Keys had created, which just worked like a large corkscrew. A few hours later, with over $100 million worth of diamonds, jewels, and cash, the thieves escaped, not leaving a single piece of evidence at the crime scene. All in all, it was the perfect heist. It wasn't
Everything's a
until their
perfect
escape
heist.
out of the country that one of their members' paranoia would get the best of him. Speedy began to dump all the evidence linking them to the crime in a forest, instead of burning it as they had planned. This critical error came back to haunt them, as it was later
Oh, no. Dude, that's the thing about this, bro. When you're on the team type of things, there's always a weak link, bro. There's always a leak. Mother frick, a weak link here. Put it in the forest, bro, and someone found it? Who found it? Sasquatch?
discovered by the landowner.
Oh my gosh, the landowner. Are we serious right now? He was a rat and didn't even know it right
The
there.
junk contained envelopes to the Antwerp Diamond Center, surveillance tape footage, and receipts that linked the men to the crime. The men were quickly...
So you're telling me all of the evidence to this entire thing was literally put in the forest and there was a landowner that found it? Brother, if you're gonna put it in a forest, make sure that it's a legit forest here, or at least bury it. I mean, like, he didn't even bury it, bro. He literally just sat it on the ground with a bow on it.
arrested, and Leonardo, the mastermind behind the heist, was sentenced to 10 years in prison, while 3 of the
That's it. Who wants to do a heist with me, chat? Let's go run a heist real quick.
members were sentenced to 5. Only one man was so meticulous as to not leave any traces of his existence before, during, and after the heist, escaping with his fair share of the loot.
is this the final
he walked
dude?
away with $20 million worth of valuables, or a value of around $34 million today.
Oh no, one of the guys in the group did that. Okay. Oh, we're down to do it? Okay, bet. Chat, we're gonna have a Discord call and we're gonna have to go over how we're gonna be stealing the moon. Never been done before, but we're gonna be stealing the moon here.
He has been described as an elderly man, but is only known to the world as the King of Keys, and based on his work, is considered by many experts to be one of, if not the most talented key forger on the planet.
So we
Number
forges
1,
the keys?
the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum heist. The largest successful heist in history might not be what you expect. On March 18th, 1990, in Boston, Massachusetts.
First off, this guy's going through it over here. Second off, if you're gonna be heisting anything and you're going to a museum, I feel like that's just not smart, because even if you get something that's super valuable, let's say you get the Mona Lisa. Brother, you have to sell that, John. Like, what's the point in stealing that? You know what I mean?
Massachusetts, around 12:30 a.m., 2
Lots of
police
Boston,
officers arrived at the
Massachusetts.
Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum to investigate a disturbance. Once inside the museum, one of the officers realized that the man working security behind the desk looked very suspicious, so he quickly asked for his ID. As the man slowly got up from the desk and approached the 2 officers, he realized that one of the officers' mustaches looked to have been glued on, but it was too late. He was quickly pinned against the wall and handcuffed. As the second security guard arrived, he was immediately handcuffed as well. Both men were then taken to the basement and cuffed to a steam pipe. They then had their arms, legs, and eyes tightly duct taped.
No
You see,
way!
the emergency button to signal the police was located
Oh,
on the
this that freaky stuff I'm on about right here.
security desk, and the moment the worker got up to show his ID, he had left it unattended. For the next hour, the 2 thieves disguised as police
The handsome Squidward.
officers would easily acquire 13
Big
pieces
Mac,
of
what's
art
good?
valued at around $200 million, or around $500 million
how do you sell it,
in today's
though?
money. And with minimal adversity, the 2 thieves had pulled off the largest and most lucrative heist of all time. Not a single piece of useful evidence was left behind, and to this day, no one really knows what happened to those valuable pieces of art, but were more than likely sold on the black market.
What?
The 2 thieves responsible for the heist were never caught, and the only thing the FBI would ever put forward is this terrible sketch of the thieves. No arrests related to the case have ever been made. You see, the thieves knew that banks and diamond centers were carefully guarded with many security measures in place, but no one ever considered more than a single button to guard millions of dollars hanging on a wall. And with that critical flaw, the 2 thieves who entered as police officers truly got away with the perfect and most lucrative heist in all of history.
No way. Dude, that's insane, bro. W video.